Naomi Grant's alarm chimed at 6:45 a.m., a soft melody that nudged her awake in her sleek, minimalist bedroom. Sunlight spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting her oak floors gold. At 32, Naomi was an architect on the cusp of greatness, her name whispered in boardrooms for her innovative designs. Today, she had a critical meeting with Zenith Developers, a client who could catapult her firm into the national spotlight. Her navy blazer hung pressed on the closet door, her presentation slides triple-checked. She reached for her phone, her ritual to call Darius, her husband of 5 years. His voice was her anchor, a warm tether to ground her before high-stakes days. As she dialed, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Sharp cheekbones, coiled hair swept into an elegant bun, eyes bright with ambition. The line connected. "Morning, my queen," Darius's voice purred, smooth as velvet. "You ready to dazzle those suits today?" Naomi smiled, clutching the phone closer. "Only if you're there to cheer me on, babe. Feeling a little jittery." "You? Jittery?" He chuckled, the sound rich and familiar. "You're Naomi Grant, the woman who redesigned half the city's skyline in her head by 25. They're lucky to breathe your air." Her nerves softened. "Flatterer. You still owe me that candlelit dinner for surviving this." "Deal. I'll even throw in dessert, your favorite tiramisu from Luca's." His tone dipped playfully. "Knock 'em dead, love." "Love you too," she whispered, tapping end on her screen. But the call didn't disconnect. The screen froze, a glitch she barely noticed as she set the phone down to grab her coffee. Then, static hissed through the speaker, faint but persistent. Naomi froze, mid-sip, her pulse quickening. She picked up the phone, expecting silence, but instead, laughter erupted, Darius's laugh, unguarded and sharp. "She fell for it again," he said, his voice stripped of warmth, now laced with mockery. A second voice joined, feminine and gleeful. Tasha Monroe, Naomi's best friend since their sandbox days in 3rd grade. "Oh, Dee, you're too good," Tasha giggled, her words dripping with conspiratorial delight. "That queen bit? Oscar-worthy." Naomi's breath caught, her mug slipping from her fingers to clatter on the counter. Coffee splashed across her white blouse, but she didn't move. Her heart thudded, each beat a hammer against her ribs. Instinct screamed to hang up, to sever the betrayal unfolding in real time, but curiosity, raw and reckless, glued the phone to her ear. Her thumb hovered over the screen, then, with a trembling flick, she activated the in-call recorder. A red dot blinked, capturing every word as her perfect morning shattered in silence. "Seriously, Tash," Darius continued, oblivious. "She eats it up every time. Thinks I'm planning her dream life while she's out there grinding." Tasha's laugh was a knife. "And those journals she keeps? All that manifesting our future nonsense? Girls living in a fairy tale." Naomi's knees buckled. She sank onto a bar stool, her free hand clutching the counter. Her journals, private, sacred pages where she poured her hopes, her love for Darius, her dreams of their legacy, were now fodder for their cruelty. The phone burned against her ear, but she couldn't look away from the truth spilling through it. Each word was a shard, slicing through the life she'd built on trust. Yet, even as tears pricked her eyes, a flicker of resolve sparked. She wouldn't scream. She wouldn't break. Not yet. Naomi sat frozen in her kitchen, the phone still pressed to her ear as Darius and Tasha's voices wove a tapestry of betrayal. The recorder's timer ticked past 2 minutes, each second a weight on her chest. She forced her breathing to steady, her architect's mind, trained to find structure in chaos, kicking into gear. "So, how much did you pull from the account this time?" Darius asked, his tone casual, as if discussing the weather. "Another 10 grand, Tasha replied, smug. Naomi's too busy sketching her precious buildings to notice. "Our little getaway fund is looking real nice." Naomi's stomach lurched. The account they referenced was the joint business account for Grant and Monroe Designs, the firm she and Tasha had built from late-night college dreams. Every penny was blood, sweat, and sleepless nights. Now, it was their slush fund for secret escapes, likely to the Caribbean, judging by Tasha's earlier Instagram posts about spontaneous trips. You think she'll ever catch on? Darius asked, a hint of unease creeping in. Tasha snorted. Naomi? She's too busy playing perfect wife and boss. By the time she looks up, we'll be sipping mojitos in Barbados, and she'll be signing divorce papers. The call cut abruptly, static giving way to silence. Naomi exhaled, a broken whisper escaping her lips. Her hand shook as she saved the recording, labeling it Truth Under the 051825. She stared at the file, its existence both a wound and a weapon. For a moment, she imagined confronting them, storming into Darius's office, hurling the phone at Tasha's smug face. But no. That was chaos, and chaos was their domain. She grabbed a notebook, her movements deliberate. At the top, she wrote 3 words: evidence, exit, empire. This wasn't about tears or tantrums. This was about dismantling their world with precision, leaving them exposed and powerless. She jotted down what she'd heard: the account theft, the mockery, the planned divorce. Each line fueled her clarity, transforming pain into purpose. Her phone buzzed, a text from Tasha. Hey girl, you ready to slay that meeting? Call me after, K. The hypocrisy stung, but Naomi's lips curved into a cold smile. She typed back, absolutely, will do. And hit send. Let them think they were safe. Let them underestimate her. She'd build her revenge brick by brick, and they'd never see it coming. By evening, Naomi had aced her Zenith meeting, her poise unshaken despite the morning's wreckage. She drove home in her silver Audi, the city's neon lights blurring past. Darius's betrayal looped in her mind, but she'd locked her emotions behind a steel door. Tonight, she'd play the role they expected: loving wife, oblivious partner. The condo smelled of jasmine when she entered, Darius's signature move. He stood in the kitchen, a bouquet of peonies in hand, his grin disarming. There's my star, he said, pulling her into a hug. Heard you crushed it today. Naomi leaned into the embrace, her smartwatch subtly recording the pressure of his arms, the cadence of his lie. Thanks, babe, she murmured, her voice honeyed. Just another day at the office. Modest as always. He kissed her forehead, lingering just long enough to seem sincere. Dinner's on me tomorrow. Name the place. She smiled, cataloging his performance. Luca's. You promised tiramisu, remember? He laughed, oblivious to her scrutiny. You got it. As they ate takeout, Naomi kept the conversation light, probing gently. So, how's your day been? Any big deals at the firm? She watched his eyes, searching for cracks. Same old, he said, shrugging. Just keeping the wheels turning. Liar, she thought, but her face stayed warm. After dinner, she texted Tasha. Meeting went great. Let's sync on the condo project tomorrow? Tasha's reply was instant. Yes, let's make it rain. Naomi screenshot it, adding it to her digital vault. Evidence was piling up. Later, while Darius showered, Naomi sat at her desk, scrolling through Grant and Monroe's corporate bylaws on her laptop. She highlighted a clause about share reallocation in cases of misconduct, a loophole she could weaponize. When Darius emerged, towel around his waist, she closed the tab and kissed him goodnight, her lips brushing his cheek like a promise of normalcy. Alone in the dark, she slipped into the guest room, where a loose floorboard hid an encrypted USB drive. She copied the day's files, recording, screenshots, bylaws, onto it, then replaced the board. Her arsenal was growing, each piece a step toward reclaiming her power. As she drifted to sleep, her dreams weren't of betrayal but of blueprints, each line a path to victory. The next morning, Naomi called in sick, a rare act that raised no eyebrows. She needed space, perspective, and there was only one place for that. Mama Becca's cottage, 2 hours away in a coastal village where the sea whispered secrets. She drove with the windows down, salt air tangling her hair, the weight of betrayal loosening with each mile. Mama Becca, 78 and sharp as sea glass, was tending her herb garden when Naomi arrived. Her silver braids gleamed under a wide-brimmed hat, her eyes narrowing as she took in Naomi's tense shoulders. Child, you look like you're carrying the world, she said, dusting off her hands. Come inside. Over ginger tea in the cozy kitchen, Mama Becca listened as Naomi poured out the story. The call, the laughter, the theft. Her voice cracked only once, when she mentioned Tasha's betrayal. Mama Becca's face stayed calm, but her fingers tightened around her mug. They mocked my journals, Naomi whispered. Everything I built with them, it's a lie. Mama Becca set her tea down, her gaze piercing. The ocean swallows noise, Naomi, but it shapes rock with patience. You hear me? Their words are just waves, loud but fleeting. You're the rock. Naomi frowned, sipping her tea. I want to ruin them, Mama. Not loud, not messy, but completely. Her grandmother leaned back, a slow smile spreading. That's my girl. But ruin ain't enough. You gotta build something new, something they can't touch. Tell me, what's in that heart of yours? Naomi hesitated, then pulled out her sketchbook. I've been thinking, sustainable housing for single mothers. Modular, eco-friendly, affordable. A firm called Phoenix Dwelling. Her voice gained strength. I want to rise, not just fight. Mama Becca nodded, pride in her eyes. That's your shore, child. Build it. She reached into a drawer, producing a jade pendant on a leather cord. This was your great-grandma's. Wear it for protection. You're not alone in this. Naomi clasped the pendant, its cool weight grounding her. They spent the afternoon on the porch, sketching Phoenix Dwelling's first designs as gulls wheeled overhead. Mama Becca shared stories of her own battles, quiet victories won through grit, not noise. By dusk, Naomi's resolve was ironclad. She hugged her grandmother, the pendant warm against her chest, and drove back to the city with a blueprint for vengeance and hope. Back in her condo, Naomi wasted no time. She needed allies, and one name surfaced: Miles Carter, a tech investor who'd once been her study partner in college. He'd admired her then, his quiet respect lingering in her memory. She found him on LinkedIn, his profile touting investments in social impact startups. Perfect. She crafted a message, her fingers flying. Miles, it's Naomi Grant. I'm launching a venture. Phoenix Dwelling, sustainable housing for single mothers. There's a market gap opening soon, and I need a partner who sees the vision. Coffee tomorrow? His reply came within an hour. Naomi, been too long. I'm intrigued. Midnight at the Grindhouse? I'm a night owl. The Grindhouse was a dimly lit cafe, its exposed brick walls humming with late-night energy. Naomi arrived in a tailored green dress, the jade pendant tucked beneath her collar. Miles was already there, his lanky frame hunched over a laptop, glasses reflecting code. He looked up, his smile warm but cautious. Naomi Grant, he said, standing. Still making the world beautiful, I see. She laughed, easing into the booth. Trying to. Thanks for meeting me, Miles. Couldn't resist, he said, pushing his glasses up. So, Phoenix Dwelling. Tell me everything. Over black coffee, Naomi pitched her vision. Modular eco-homes, community-driven, with profits funding scholarships. Miles listened, scribbling notes, his questions sharp. Market size, scalability, timelines. Then she leaned in, lowering her voice. There's more, she said. My current firm's about to hit turbulence. Financial misconduct, maybe worse. When it does, clients will jump ship. Phoenix Dwelling can fill the void, but I need seed capital to move fast. Miles raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That's a bold play. You got proof of this turbulence? She met his gaze, unflinching. I will. Audio, documents, timestamps. Enough to sync them and clear the field for us. He leaned back, whistling softly. You haven't changed. Still 3 steps ahead. After a pause, he nodded. I'm in, contingent on that leverage. Get me the proof, and I'll fund your first phase, say, $500,000 to start. Naomi's heart leapt, but her face stayed composed. Deal. You won't regret it. They clinked mugs, sealing the pact. As she left, the city's pulse matched her own, electric, unstoppable. The recordings in her vault were no longer just pain. They were power, ready to ignite her empire. Naomi's office at Grant & Monroe Designs was a sanctuary of order. Glass desk, neatly stacked blueprints, and a single orchid in a jade pot. But today, it was her war room. The jade pendant from Mama Becca hung around her neck, a cool reminder of her purpose. She'd spent the morning duplicating bank statements from the firm's joint account, each one a breadcrumb of Tasha's betrayal. The record showed unexplained withdrawals, $10,000 here, $15,000 there, funneled to an account Naomi traced to Tasha's name. Her fingers trembled as she saved the files, but her resolve was steel. She leaned back in her ergonomic chair, the city skyline glittering beyond her window. The recordings from Darius and Tasha's damning call were safely encrypted, but she needed more, a trap to lock them in their own greed. Her plan was audacious, a fake luxury condo proposal designed to lure Tasha into signing documents that would transfer her voting shares to Naomi upon proof of misconduct. It was a legal chess move, buried in fine print, and Naomi was betting Tasha's arrogance would blind her to it. She opened her laptop and drafted the proposal, naming it Elysian Towers. The mock-up was flawless, sleek renderings of glass high-rises, financial projections promising a 200% return. She embedded the contract in the digital signature portal, ensuring the share transfer clause was tucked in an appendix labeled Standard Governance. Tasha wouldn't read it. She never did. Naomi's phone buzzed, a text from Tasha. Lunch today? Need to debrief on Zenith. Naomi's lips curved into a cold smile. Perfect timing. She replied, Sure, meet me at Café Verve, 1 p.m. Then she called Darius, keeping her voice warm. Hey, babe, I'm pitching a condo deal to Tasha today. Big money. You in? Darius's tone was eager. Hell yeah. Send me the deets. Will do, she said, hanging up. She emailed him a teaser of Elysian Towers, knowing he'd push Tasha to bite. The bait was set. At Café Verve, Naomi arrived early, choosing a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. Tasha swept in, all designer sunglasses and breezy confidence, her perfume a cloud of jasmine. Naomi, you're glowing, she said, air-kissing her cheek. Zenith's still buzzing about you. Naomi smiled, her smartwatch recording the exchange. Thanks, Tash. I've got something bigger. Elysian Towers, luxury condos, prime location. Investors are circling, but I want us to lead. Tasha's eyes lit up, greed flickering. Tell me more. Naomi slid her tablet across the table, the proposal gleaming on the screen. Projected $50 million in profit. We'd need to move fast. Signatures by tomorrow. You and Darius could co-sponsor. Tasha scrolled, barely skimming. This is gold. Darius is already hyped. I'm in. She tapped the signature field, her manicured nail sealing her fate. Naomi's pulse quickened as the contract uploaded to her encrypted cloud, time-stamped and secure. The jade pendant felt warm against her chest. Darius thinks it's a slam dunk, Naomi said, sipping her latte. He mentioned you two have been planning some side projects? Tasha froze, then laughed, too shrill. Oh, you know D. Always scheming. Just work stuff. Naomi nodded, her face serene. Of course. She steered the conversation to Zenith, letting Tasha ramble while she catalogued every nervous tick. Back at the office, she stored the signed contract in a vault accessible only through her pendant's hidden USB key. The trap was primed, all it needed was a spark. Darius had booked a table at Luca's, a chic restaurant where chandeliers cast golden light over linen tablecloths. Naomi dressed to disarm, emerald dress hugging her curves, hair cascading in loose waves, a lapel micro-camera disguised as a brooch. The jade pendant gleamed at her throat, her talisman. Tonight, she'd play the doting wife while coaxing Darius into a mistake. He was waiting at the table, his tailored suit accentuating his charm. You look like a dream, he said, standing to kiss her hand. The camera captured his smile, flawless but hollow. You clean up nice yourself, Naomi replied, her voice a velvet blade. They ordered, salmon for her, steak for him, and she let him steer the conversation, his anecdotes polished to a sheen. Over appetizers, she leaned in, eyes sparkling. "So, Elysian Towers. Tasha signed today. You still excited?" Darius grinned, swirling his wine. "It's a gold mine. We'll be untouchable." "We?" Naomi tilted her head, feigning curiosity. "You mean the firm, right?" He coughed, recovering quickly. Yeah, the firm. You know what I mean." She nodded, filing away his slip. As the main course arrived, she shifted gears. "I heard rumors about audits at other firms. Makes me nervous. Our books are clean, right?" Darius's fork paused, a bead of sweat glinting at his temple. "Clean as a whistle," he said, too fast. "Why? You worried?" "Just cautious," she said, smiling. "You're always so confident. Makes me feel safe." His laugh was strained. "That's my job, babe." Naomi raised her glass. "To your genius, then." The toast was a trap, and he clinked her glass, oblivious. Her phone vibrated under the table, a text from Miles. "Phoenix Dwelling LLC registered. Ready when you are." She suppressed a triumphant smile, her eyes locking with Darius's. "Dessert?" he asked, loosening his tie. "Tiramisu as promised," she said, her voice sweet. As they shared the plate, she dropped another hint. "I'm thinking of hiring an external auditor. Just to be thorough." Darius choked on his coffee, masking it with a cough. "No need for that. We're solid." "If you say so," she said, her gaze piercing. She leaned in, kissing his cheek, the camera catching his unease. As they left, her heels clicked with purpose, triumph burning in her chest. Darius thought he was playing her, but she was rewriting the board. At 4 a.m., Naomi moved like a ghost through the marital condo. Moonlight bathed the space in silver, illuminating her path as she packed essentials: laptop, sketchbooks, Mama Becca's pendant. She left no trace, her movements surgical. In the guest room, she lifted the loose floorboard, retrieving her encrypted drive. Every file, recordings, contracts, bank statements, was backed up in her cloud vault, her digital fortress. She paused at the kitchen counter, penning a note: "Gone to design my future." Simple, sharp, final. She placed it where Darius would find it, then redirected her salary to a new account, her fingers flying over her banking app. With a few clicks, she scheduled an email blast to the firm's board, announcing her resignation effective immediately. The subject line: New Horizons. By 5 a.m., she was in her Audi, driving to a co-working loft she'd rented under Phoenix Dwelling's name. The space was bare but hers: white walls, a single desk, limitless potential. She set up her laptop, accessing the firm's security cams through a backdoor she'd installed months ago for maintenance. The feed showed her old office, still dark, but soon it would be chaos. Her phone buzzed. "Tasha, at 6:03 a.m. "Naomi, where are you?" "Urgent meeting today." Naomi ignored it, her number already set to disconnect by noon. She sipped coffee, watching the cams as employees trickled in. Darius arrived at 8:15, his face stormy as he read her note. He stormed to her desk, finding it empty, her orchid gone. Whispers spread among staff, their glances darting to his office. Tasha burst in at 8:30, her voice audible through the cam's mic. "Darius, she's not answering. Her email, what the hell is this?" "Calm down," Darius snapped, pacing. "She's bluffing. Probably stressed." "Bluffing?" Tasha's voice rose. Her desks cleared out. "This isn't a tantrum." Naomi leaned closer to her screen, a predator watching prey. The board's virtual meeting was set for noon, and her next move was already in motion. She checked her cloud vault, ensuring every file was ready. The spark was about to ignite. At 11:55 a.m., Naomi sat in her loft, her laptop open to the board's virtual meeting. She'd hacked a guest link, her presence invisible. The board members' faces filled the screen, stern executives, their ties crisp, their patience thin. Tasha and Darius were there, Tasha's makeup barely hiding her panic, Darius's jaw tight. The chair, Ms. Ellison, spoke first. Naomi's resignation is unexpected. We need clarity. Darius, Tasha, any insight? She's overworked, Darius said, his voice smooth. Probably needs a break. Break. Mr. Patel, a hawkish investor, scoffed. She's our top architect. This smells like trouble. Naomi's fingers hovered over her keyboard. At exactly 12:02, she sent a private link to the board's secure portal, labeled urgent, Grant and Monroe conduct. It contained the audio file, Darius and Tasha's mocking laughter, their theft confessions, their divorce plot. She watched the board's faces as they opened it. Tasha's voice filled the call. Naomi's too busy sketching to notice. Our getaway fund's looking nice. Darius's followed. By the time she looks up, we'll be sipping mojitos. Gasps rippled through the meeting. Ms. Ellison's eyes narrowed. What is this? Darius paled, stammering. It's manipulated. A prank. Prank. Patel snapped. That's your voice, Monroe's too. Explain. Tasha's hands shook. I don't know how. Enough. Ellison cut in. Legal counsel, freeze all accounts. We're launching an investigation. Naomi muted her mic, a slow smile spreading. She drafted Phoenix Dwelling's launch statement, her words sharp. A new era of ethical design begins. The firm was crumbling, and she was already building on its ashes. By 3 p.m., Naomi was ready to go nuclear. She opened TikTok, her fingers steady as she edited a montage. It began with photos, Darius kissing her cheek, Tasha hugging her at a gala, then faded to black. Captions appeared over snippets of the recording. She fell for it again. Our getaway fund. Her calm narration overlaid it. They called me love while stealing my dreams. Trust your instincts. Watch who calls you love. She ended with a call to action. Join the hashtag #PressedN challenge. Share your truth. She scheduled the post for 4 p.m., then leaned back, heart pounding. The board's chaos was spreading. Investors were pulling funds, clients canceling meetings. Her phone lit up with notifications as the TikTok went live. Within an hour, hashtag #PressedN challenge trended globally. Strangers commented, Naomi, you're a queen. Influencers dissected betrayal red flags. Darius's LinkedIn was flooded with clown emojis. Tasha's Instagram lost 10,000 followers. Naomi's inbox overflowed with support, from single moms to CEOs. She refreshed the security cams. Darius was alone in his office, head in hands. Tasha sat in hers, scrolling her dying Instagram, tears streaking her face. Naomi sipped her coffee, the jade pendant glinting. The world was watching, and she was just getting started. The morning sun sliced through Naomi Grant's co-working loft, illuminating her laptop screen as she tracked the fallout. Grant and Monroe Designs was imploding. Her TikTok exposing Darius and Tasha's betrayal had gone viral, amassing 5 million views in 48 hours. The hashtag #PressedN challenge trended worldwide, with influencers and strangers alike dissecting the audio of her husband and best friend's mockery. But Naomi wasn't basking in the chaos. She was orchestrating the next phase. Her phone buzzed with an email from Miles Carter, her investor ally. Phoenix Dwelling's teaser site is live. 2,000 inquiries already. Keep the pressure on. She smiled, her jade pendant glinting as she opened the firm's security cam feed. The office was a war zone, employees huddled in whispers, phones pinging with news alerts. Auditors had descended, their briefcases snapping open like vultures' wings. Naomi's recordings and bank statements, anonymously leaked to the board, had triggered a forensic audit. She switched to a news tab. Headlines screamed, Grant and Monroe embezzlement scandal rocks design world. The article detailed forged invoices, misallocated expenses, and an offshore account in Tasha's name, linked to Darius through email trails Naomi had meticulously planted. The board had suspended both, pending investigation. Investors were fleeing, and clients were canceling contracts. Naomi's loft phone rang. Ms. Ellison, the board chair, her voice clipped. Naomi, we need to talk. Off the record. Naomi leaned back, her voice calm. I'm listening, Ms. Ellison. The board's in damage control, Ellison said. Your evidence has turned this firm upside down. We're hemorrhaging capital. Why didn't you come to us first? Naomi's lips curved. I trusted the system to work, Ms. Ellison. The truth speaks for itself. Ellison sighed. You've made your point. But we need stability. Would you consider returning as interim CEO? Naomi paused, letting the offer hang. It was tempting, reclaiming her firm, twisting the knife. But Phoenix Dwelling was her future, not a salvage operation. I'm building something new, she said. You'll hear about it soon. Hanging up, she checked Phoenix Dwelling's site. 10,000 inquiries now, from investors to single mothers seeking housing. Miles's projection, tripled funding, was in reach. She drafted a press release, her words sharp. Phoenix Dwelling, ethical design for a resilient future. The old firm was ash, and she was rising from it. Darius's desperation hit like a storm. By noon, Naomi's attorney, Lena Hayes, called with news. Darius had filed a defamation lawsuit, claiming her TikTok and leaked recordings were malicious fabrications. Naomi sat at her loft desk, the city's hum filtering through the window, and laughed, a low, bitter sound. He was cornered, lashing out. She welcomed the fight. Lena's office was a fortress of mahogany and glass, her presence as formidable as her reputation. Naomi arrived at 2 p.m., her emerald blazer sharp, jade pendant tucked beneath her collar. Lena slid a tablet across the desk, showing Darius's filing. He's demanding $5 million and a public retraction, she said. Says you doctored the audio. Naomi's eyes glinted. He's bluffing. I have backups, time-stamped, encrypted, original files. And more. Lena raised an eyebrow. More. Naomi opened her laptop, playing a new clip from her smartwatch. Darius, at Luca's, bragging about a confidential condo deal, and planning to divorce her post-profit. His voice was unmistakable. Once Elysian pays out, I'm free. She'll get half of nothing. Lena whistled. This buries him. We countersue for fraud, theft, and emotional distress. Mediations tomorrow. You ready? More than ready, Naomi said, her voice steel. He thinks he can outplay me. He's wrong. The mediation room was sterile, a long table flanked by lawyers. Darius sat across from Naomi, his suit rumpled, eyes bloodshot. His attorney, a wiry man named Kessler, spoke first. Ms. Grant, retract the TikTok and issue an apology, or we'll bury you in court. Naomi met Darius's gaze, her face serene. Play the clip, Lena. The room filled with Darius's voice, plotting her financial ruin. His lawyer's jaw dropped. Darius stammered, That's out of context. Context? Lena snapped, sliding bank statements across the table. These show you and Ms. Monroe siphoned $250,000. Want to explain? The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, leaned forward. Mr. Grant, this is damning. Settle now, or face criminal charges. Darius's bravado crumbled. Naomi, please, he whispered, eyes pleading. We can fix this. She leaned in, her voice ablade. You fixed nothing, Darius. You broke it. To the judge, she said, I want full marital assets and his lawsuit dropped. Or I release more. Kessler whispered frantically to Darius, who nodded, defeated. The settlement was signed, assets to Naomi, lawsuit withdrawn. She left the room, her heels clicking like a metronome of victory, the pendant warm against her chest. Tasha's collapse was public and pitiful. At 8 p.m., Naomi's phone pinged with a YouTube notification. Tasha Monroe, My Truth. She opened the video, settling into her loft's leather chair. Tasha sat in a dimly lit room, her face tear-streaked, no trace of her usual glamour. The comments were already brutal. Crocodile tears. You betrayed your best friend. Hi, everyone, Tasha began, her voice trembling. I owe Naomi Grant an apology. I got caught in a toxic love with Darius. He manipulated me, made me believe we were building something. I was wrong. Naomi, I'm so sorry. Naomi's jaw tightened. Tasha's words were a performance, deflecting blame. The comments erupted. Liar. You stole her money. Own it, Tasha. Sponsors dropped Tasha's brand deals. Her Instagram followers plummeted to 20,000. Naomi could have responded, could have shredded Tasha's narrative. Instead, she chose silence, letting the internet's judgment do the work. Her phone buzzed, a text from an old colleague, Priya. Tasha's in the office, crying alone. It's sad, but she earned it. Naomi pictured Tasha at her desk, scrolling through hate comments, her empire of likes reduced to rubble. A pang of empathy flickered, decades of friendship, now ash, but Naomi smothered it. Mercy wasn't restoration. She opened her laptop, drafting an email to Miles. Tasha's out of moves. Phoenix Dwellings launch is next. Ready for the gala? His reply was instant. Born ready. Let's make history. Naomi closed her eyes, the pendant grounding her. Tasha's apology was noise. Her future was rock. Phoenix Dwellings launch gala was a spectacle, held in a glass atrium overlooking the city's skyline. Fairy lights twinkled, jazz hummed, and servers wove through crowds of city leaders, journalists, and influencers. Naomi stood at the entrance, her emerald jumpsuit shimmering, the jade pendant bold against her throat. Mama Becca, regal in a silver caftan, stood beside her, her eyes gleaming with pride. Miles approached, his lanky frame sharp in a tailored blazer. You did it, Naomi, he said, handing her a champagne flute. This is your empire. Not mine, she said, clinking his glass. Ours. For them. She nodded toward a group of single mothers, invited as guests, their faces alight with hope. The stage lit up, and Naomi took the mic, her voice steady. Phoenix Dwelling isn't just about buildings. It's about homes, safe, sustainable, for those who need them most. Tonight, we announce partnerships with 3 charities, ensuring every profit builds a future. Applause thundered. Miles unveiled a hologram, modular eco-homes rising in disadvantaged neighborhoods, their jade emblems glowing. Cameras flashed. Journalists typed furiously. Headlines were already forming. Naomi Grant redefines architecture with heart. Mama Becca squeezed her hand. You shaped the rock, child. Naomi smiled, but her focus shifted, a commotion at the entrance. Darius. Her stomach tightened, but she stood taller, ready for the final act. Darius pushed through the gala security, his tie askew, face flushed with desperation. Naomi, he shouted, drawing gasps from the crowd. We need to talk. Naomi's heart raced, but her face was a mask of calm. She glanced at Miles, who nodded subtly, then at the live stream camera, broadcasting to 50,000 viewers. This was her moment. She stepped onto the stage, motioning for security to pause. Let him speak, she said, her voice clear. Transparency is our promise. Darius climbed the steps, his eyes wild. Naomi, this is madness. You've ruined me. Us. Tell them the truth. The crowd murmured, phones recording. Naomi tilted her head, her pendant catching the light. The truth, Darius. Let's share it. She pulled out her tablet, projecting an email he'd sent hours earlier, forged documents attempting to sabotage Phoenix Dwellings zoning permits. The screen showed his signature, time-stamped. Explain this, she said, her tone icy. You tried to block homes for single mothers. Why? Darius stammered, sweat beading. It's not, it's a mistake. I was protecting us. Us. Naomi's laugh was sharp. You stole from me, mocked me, planned to leave me. The world heard it. She turned to the crowd. You've seen the recordings. You've seen the proof. This is transparency. The audience booed, their voices a wave. Security moved in, escorting Darius out as he shouted, Naomi, you'll regret this. The live stream chat exploded, She's a legend. Darius is done. Naomi faced the camera, her voice steady. Thank you for witnessing truth. Phoenix Dwelling builds on trust, not lies. She bowed, the pendant gleaming, and stepped off stage to thunderous applause. The clip hit YouTube's trending list within an hour, sealing Darius's downfall. Miles met her backstage, his eyes wide. You're unstoppable. She smiled, the weight of betrayal lifting. We're just starting. Naomi Grant stood in her co-working loft, the city's skyline a glittering backdrop through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The morning sun cast long shadows across her desk, where her laptop displayed a court order. Darius's remaining accounts were frozen, his luxury car and penthouse seized by creditors. The news had broken an hour ago, with paparazzi snapping photos of a defeated Darius loading boxes into a U-Haul outside his repossessed penthouse. Naomi sipped her coffee, the jade pendant at her throat a steadying weight. Her revenge wasn't loud, but it was absolute. Her phone buzzed, a text from Lena Hayes, her attorney. Marital assets fully transferred to you. Condo's yours. What's the plan? Naomi's lips curved into a smile. The condo, a sleek two-bedroom overlooking the river, was more than a trophy. It was a symbol of Darius's hubris. She typed back, donate it to Phoenix Dwelling's transitional housing. I want it to mean something. She opened her laptop, drafting a press release. Phoenix Dwelling acquires prime condo for single mothers housing initiative. The poetic justice was sharp. Darius's prized asset would now shelter the vulnerable, a legacy he'd never intended. She scheduled the release for noon, knowing media outlets would pounce. Headlines were already circling. Betrayed architect turns ex's condo into haven. Her loft phone rang. Miles Carter, his voice warm. Naomi, you're a genius. The condo move. It's trending on X already. Donations are pouring in. Naomi leaned back, her chair creaking. Good. Let's use the momentum. How's the gala follow-up? Tripled our investor commitments, Miles said. But I'm hearing whispers. Darius is telling anyone who'll listen that you framed him. He's got no proof, but he's loud. Naomi's jaw tightened. Let him scream. The truth's louder. She glanced at her encrypted drive, hidden in a locked drawer. Every recording, every bank statement, was her shield. Focus on Phoenix Dwelling, Miles. We're building, not bickering. Got it, he said, a grin in his voice. You're a force, you know that? She laughed softly. I'm learning. Hanging up, she opened the security cam feed from Grant and Monroe Designs. The office was a ghost town, desks empty, phones silent. Darius's downfall was complete. His relocation to a modest rental splashed across tabloids. Naomi felt no joy, only clarity. Her vengeance was quiet, but its ripples were deafening. Tasha Monroe's unraveling was a slow-motion tragedy, and Naomi watched it unfold from a distance. Lawsuits were mounting against Tasha, creditors, former clients, even a former intern claiming unpaid wages. Her health was crumbling under the strain, her once vibrant Instagram now a graveyard of deleted posts. Naomi sat at her loft desk, the jade pendant cool against her skin, as an email from Tasha landed in her inbox at 9 p.m. Naomi, please. I need to talk. I'm sorry. Can I work for you? Naomi stared at the words, a flicker of their childhood friendship surfacing, pigtailed girls sharing secrets under oak trees. But the memory soured with Tasha's laughter on that damning recording, mocking Naomi's journals, stealing her dreams. She opened Tasha's YouTube apology again, the tearful video now at 1.2 million views, the comment section a furnace of scorn, you're no victim. Naomi deserves better. She drafted a reply, her fingers' steady healing begins with accountability. Tasha. I wish you peace, but Phoenix Dwelling isn't your redemption. She attached a PDF of mental health resources, hotlines, therapists, support groups, and hit send. Mercy wasn't restoration, and Naomi wouldn't rebuild Tasha's world. Her phone buzzed, a call from Priya, a former colleague at Grant and Monroe. Naomi, you need to see this, Priya said, her voice urgent. Tasha checked into a clinic today. Inpatient therapy. She's off social media, gone dark. Naomi exhaled, a pang of empathy surfacing, quickly buried. She made her choices, Priya. I hope she heals, but that's not my burden. You're stronger than me, Priya said. The office is a morgue now. Everyone's jumping ship to your new venture. Phoenix Dwelling's the talk of the town. Naomi smiled, the pendant warming against her chest. That's the plan. Spread the word. Hiring starts next week. She hung up, opening Phoenix Dwelling's applicant portal. Resumes flooded in, many from Grant and Monroe's best talent. Tasha's empire was dust, but Naomi's was rising. Naomi needed air, space to breathe beyond the city's pulse. She drove to Mama Becca's coastal cottage, the jade pendant swaying as salt air whipped through her open windows. The village was quiet, waves lapping the shore, mangroves whispering in the breeze. Mama Becca was in her garden, her silver braids catching the sunrise as she pruned rosemary. You look lighter, child, Mama Becca said, setting down her shears. The ocean's working its magic already. Naomi hugged her, the pendant pressing between them. I needed you, Mama. It's been heavy. They settled on the porch with ginger tea, the sea a steady rhythm. Naomi shared the latest. Darius's downfall, Tasha's collapse, Phoenix Dwelling sore. Mama Becca listened, her eyes sharp, then pointed to the mangroves. See those roots? They hold the shore, even in storms. That's you now, Naomi. Rooted, not shaken. Naomi sipped her tea, the warmth grounding her. I almost felt sorry for Tasha. Almost. Mama Becca's laugh was low. Empathy ain't weakness. It's strength, knowing you can feel and still stand firm. You did right, sending her those resources. Now let her carry her own load. They spent the day planting mangroves, their hands caked with mud, laughter mingling with the gulls' cries. At noon, Miles arrived, his lanky frame awkward in khakis, a pot of coconut stew in hand. Thought I'd crash the party, he said, grinning. Mama Becca, you ready for my cooking? Boy, you better not burn my kitchen, Mama Becca teased, ushering him inside. Over stew, they discussed Phoenix Dwelling's expansion, coastal communities hit by storms, modular homes designed for resilience. Miles sketched funding models on a napkin, his excitement infectious. We could rebuild entire towns, Naomi. You're changing the game. Naomi's eyes sparkled. That's the dream. Homes that last, communities that thrive. She glanced at Mama Becca, who nodded, pride radiating. As the sun set, they practiced yoga on the beach, Mama Becca guiding them through poses, her voice a soothing cadence. Naomi felt her shoulders loosen, the weight of betrayal dissolving into the tide. Miles stumbled in warrior pose, laughing. You two are gonna kill me. Keep up, city boy, Naomi teased, her first free laugh in months. The waves lapped rhythmically, noise replaced by purpose, just as Mama Becca had foretold. Moonlight bathed the cottage's porch, fireflies flickering as Naomi and Miles sat with glasses of hibiscus tea. Mama Becca had retired, leaving them to the night's quiet. Miles fidgeted, his usual ease replaced by a nervous energy. Naomi, I've been thinking, he said, setting his glass down. About us. Phoenix Dwelling, and more. Naomi raised an eyebrow, the jade pendant cool against her skin. More. He pulled out 2 envelopes. This one's for Phoenix Dwelling, a 50-50 partnership agreement. Equal stakes, equal say. He slid the second envelope forward, his voice softening. This one's personal. A letter. I've admired you since college, Naomi. Not just your talent, your heart, your fire. I want to build with you, in every way. Naomi's breath caught, the weight of his words settling. She opened the business agreement, scanning the terms. Fair, bold, a true partnership. The letter was handwritten, his script neat but vulnerable, confessing years of quiet love, tempered by respect for her journey. Her chest tightened, not with fear but possibility. Your trouble, Miles Carter, she said, her voice teasing. She signed the business agreement, sliding it back. The letter, she tucked into her pocket. "This one needs time. I'm not saying no, just, let's build the empire first." Miles grinned, relief flooding his face. "Fair enough. But I'm patient." They clinked glasses, the toast a promise, of growth, trust, maybe love. Naomi leaned back, the pendant glinting in the moonlight. The future was hers to design, and she was ready. The ribbon-cutting ceremony for Phoenix Dwelling's first eco-housing block was a spectacle of hope, set against a backdrop of vibrant community gardens in a once-neglected neighborhood. Naomi Grant stood before a crowd of families, city officials, and media, her emerald blazer sharp, the jade pendant gleaming at her throat. Drone cameras buzzed overhead, capturing the modular homes, sleek, zero-waste designs with jade emblems on each door, symbols of renewal. The air hummed with anticipation, the scent of fresh paint mingling with blooming jasmine. Naomi took the podium, her voice steady but warm. Phoenix Dwelling isn't just about shelter, it's about dignity, resilience, and futures rebuilt. Today, we welcome 20 families to their new homes, and this is only the beginning. The crowd erupted in applause, mothers clutching children's hands, their eyes bright with gratitude. She stepped aside as the first family, a single mother named Carla and her 2 daughters, cut the ribbon. Carla's voice trembled as she spoke to the crowd. "Ms. Grant, you gave us more than a house. You gave us a home." Naomi hugged her, the pendant pressing between them, a silent vow to keep building. Backstage, Miles Carter waited, his lanky frame buzzing with energy. "You're changing lives, Naomi," he said, handing her a tablet with live metrics. 500,000 views on the ceremony's livestream, $2 million in new grants. Government's fast-tracking your nationwide rollout. Naomi's smile was fierce. "Good. Let's scale to 10 cities by next year." She glanced at the crowd, spotting Mama Becca in a jade shawl, her proud nod grounding her. Influencers toured the homes, their posts praising the solar panels and recycled materials. A reporter from Urban Innovate approached, recorder in hand. "Ms. Grant, your journey from betrayal to this, what drives you?" the reporter asked. Naomi's eyes flickered to the jade pendant. "Purpose over pain. Every brick here is proof that truth builds stronger than lies." The reporter nodded, scribbling furiously, her words destined for tomorrow's headlines. As the crowd dispersed, Naomi overheard 2 mothers chatting. "She's the real deal," one said. "Heard her ex tried to sabotage this. She didn't flinch." Naomi's chest tightened, not with anger, but pride. Darius's shadow was fading, her legacy rising. Darius Grant's fall was complete, but he refused to go quietly. Naomi sat in her loft at dawn, the city waking beyond her windows, as an ex-post alerted her to his latest move, a tell-all podcast, Unframed, My Truth, launched on a fringe platform. She opened the first episode, her coffee cooling as Darius's voice filled the room, slick but strained. "I was set up," he declared, his tone defiant. "Naomi doctored those recordings, twisted our words. She's no victim, she's a mastermind who framed me and Tasha to steal the firm." Naomi's jaw clenched, the jade pendant cool against her skin. She opened her encrypted drive, verifying her files, original recordings, time-stamped, untouchable. Darius had no evidence, only noise. She refreshed the podcast's page, 5,000 downloads, but the reviews were savage. "Liar. The audio's real. Naomi's receipts buried you." Her phone buzzed, a call from Lena Hayes, her attorney. "Heard the podcast," Lena said, her voice dry. "He's digging his grave. Want to sue for slander." Naomi leaned back, considering. "Not yet. Let him talk. The louder he gets, the clearer the truth." She opened X, where listeners were fact-checking Darius's claims against her TikTok evidence. A thread by a truth sleuth gained traction. Darius says the recordings are fake, but metadata confirms they're legit. Check Naomi's #PressedNChallenge. By noon, an investigative journalist from City Pulse published a bombshell. Darius's affairs predated Naomi, with emails linking him to multiple women during their marriage. Sponsors pulled out of his podcast before episode 2. Naomi's phone lit up with a text from Priya, her former colleague, his show's tanking. Negative reviews are at 90%. You won. Naomi replied, not about winning. About building. She closed her laptop, the pendant grounding her. Darius's noise was dying, just as she'd planned. Truth was her quiet revenge. The Mama Becca Jade Scholarship launch was held in a sunlit community center, its walls adorned with sketches by young architects. Naomi stood at the podium, her navy dress elegant, the jade pendant a beacon of legacy. The room was packed with students, mentors, and donors, their faces alight with possibility. Mama Becca sat in the front row, her silver braids gleaming, her smile radiant. Naomi's voice carried conviction. This scholarship honors my grandmother, Mama Becca, who taught me to record my worth, not just on devices, but in my soul. To every young woman here, your dreams are your blueprint. Build them boldly. She paused, her eyes meeting Mama Becca's. We're funding 50 students this year, with mentorship and internships at Phoenix Dwelling. The applause was thunderous. A student, Aisha, approached the mic, her voice trembling. Ms. Grant, I read about your story. You inspired me to keep designing, even when my family doubted me. Thank you. Naomi's throat tightened. Aisha, you're why I'm here. Keep sketching. We need your vision. She handed Aisha a jade-embossed certificate, the first of many. After the ceremony, Naomi mingled, overhearing mentors discussing her journey. She turned betrayal into this, one said. That's alchemy. Applications were flooding in, over 1,000 in hours, each a testament to her impact. Mama Becca pulled her aside, her grip firm. You've done more than I dreamed, child, Mama Becca said, her eyes misty. This is your shore, built strong. Naomi hugged her, the pendant warm between them. It's ours, Mama. You showed me how. As they posed for photos, Naomi felt the weight of her past lift. Her quiet vengeance was now collective empowerment, a legacy etched in jade. The hashtag Quiet Rise Challenge exploded on TikTok, a global phenomenon born from Naomi's story. Users shared videos of overcoming betrayal through creativity. Poets, artists, entrepreneurs, all echoing her resilience. Naomi sat in her loft, scrolling through posts, a chef opening a bakery after a partner's theft, a dancer choreographing her pain into a viral routine. The hashtag hit 10 million posts, Phoenix Dwelling's waiting list quadrupling in a week. Her phone buzzed, a call from her new publicist, Zara. Naomi, your book deal just landed. 6 figures from HarperCollins. They want Quiet Rise, a blueprint for resilience. And producers are pitching a docuseries. Naomi's pulse quickened, the jade pendant steadying her. The book's a go, but the docuseries needs control. No sensationalism, authenticity only. You're calling the shots, Zara said, her voice excited. The challenge is driving traffic to Phoenix Dwelling. You're a movement. Naomi opened TikTok, watching a hashtag Quiet Rise Challenge video by a single mother named Lena. Naomi Grant showed me betrayal doesn't break you, it builds you. I'm starting my own business today. The comments were a flood of support, with users tagging Naomi. She replied, Lena, you're the heart of this. Keep rising. Later, she met Miles for coffee at the Grindhouse, the cafe where they'd sealed their partnership. The challenge is global, Miles said, sliding his tablet across the table. We're getting inquiries from Europe, Africa. Phoenix Dwelling could go international. Naomi's eyes sparkled. Then let's plan it. Sustainable communities, worldwide. She leaned forward, their conversation flowing into logistics, funding, partnerships, timelines. The pendant glinted, a reminder of her roots as she reached for the stars. The rooftop garden of Naomi's new office was a sanctuary of green, fairy lights twinkling as the city glowed below. She and Miles stood by the railing, the air warm with summer's end. The hashtag Quiet Rise Challenge had made Phoenix Dwelling a household name, and tonight, Miles had insisted on a private celebration. He held 2 envelopes, his glasses reflecting the lights. Business or more? He asked, his voice soft but steady. I've waited, Naomi. What's your answer? Naomi's heart fluttered, the jade pendant a grounding pulse. She'd carried his letter, the one confessing his love, since the cottage, rereading it in quiet moments. Miles was her partner, her equal, his respect unwavering through her storm. She pulled the letter from her pocket, now signed with her name, and handed it to him. More, she said, stepping closer. She kissed him gently, the city's hum fading into their shared breath. But it's a partnership, Miles. Equal stakes, always. He grinned, relief flooding his face. Always. He opened the second envelope, a personal agreement, mirroring their business contract, pledging transparency and growth. They signed it under the stars, fireflies flickering like witnesses. As they sat on a bench, Naomi leaned against him. You knew I'd make you wait, she teased. Worth every second, he said, his arm around her. The pendant glowed faintly, a symbol of her journey from betrayal to love earned, not rushed. The city sparkled below, a canvas for their shared dreams. Years later, Naomi stood before a global summit in a vast convention hall, a blueprint for Phoenix cities. Sustainable communities designed by Mama Becca Jade Scholarship alumni, clutched in her hands. The audience of world leaders, architects, and activists filled the space, their anticipation electric. Naomi's emerald suit was tailored to her strength, the jade pendant a quiet anchor. A short film opened the keynote, projected on a massive screen. It began with her old phone recording, Darius and Tasha's cruel laughter, then rewound to her first Phoenix dwelling sketch, a pencil tracing hope. Clips followed, families moving in, scholarship students graduating, #Quiet Rise challenge posts spanning continents. Naomi's voiceover was calm but powerful. Pain is a spark. Purpose is the fire. Build with it. She took the stage, her voice resonating. Phoenix cities are more than structures. They're ecosystems of resilience, designed by those who've risen from their own ashes. This blueprint is our future. She unrolled the plan, revealing interconnected communities powered by renewable energy, green spaces, and equity. The audience rose, their applause a tidal wave. A young architect, a scholarship alum named Maya, approached the mic. Ms. Grant, you showed us betrayal isn't the end. It's the start. How do you keep going? Naomi smiled, touching the pendant. By remembering who you're building for, yourself, your community, your legacy. Every step is a brick. Maya nodded, tears in her eyes, as the crowd roared. Backstage, Miles and Mama Becca waited. You've changed the world, child, Mama Becca said, her voice thick with pride. We're just starting, Naomi said, hugging her. Miles squeezed her hand, his eyes bright. The pendant pulsed, a heartbeat of triumph. Naomi bowed to the audience, knowing the quiet recording that broke her had forged a legacy that would endure. I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story.